Hello and welcome to this special. The first release of 2016, big release of course, is Wazir, and with me is Farhan Akhtar. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, man.
For talking to us. First big release, as I say, what are the responsibilities attached to it, considering 2015, not everyone made money, not very good for the industry, or what people say?
Well, I don't know what the responsibilities attached to a film being released are. You know, I'm here to talk about the film. I'm here to talk about my experience of making this movie, which has been amazing, and the fact that it's a good film. But beyond that, I mean, as an actor, you've done your job. No? You've done like what you should have done, and that's there for people to see in the film. Just hope that people can get their minds back from the festive break and come back to some serious movie viewing again. You
know, playing Daanish Ali, I mean, it's a action sort of a role.
Yeah,
it is. Role. This is your first as an action hero.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was the first opportunity that I got to beat the crap out of people. So that was nice. I was recently telling somebody, I was like, in all films so far, I've been at the receiving end of like some amount of violence. You know, got like slaps in two films, been really like manhandled by Ram Kapoor and Karthik calling Karthik, and various things like this. I was like, this all that pent up frustration कि मुझे एक मौका दो कि मैं वापस किसी को मारूं. So I've got a lot in this. I'm shooting people, kicking them, beating them, chasing them down. It's amazing.
You know, you're a producer of repute, and Vidhu Vinod Chopra is somebody who's like always outspoken and, you know, is a tough guy to be around, is what people think of him. How easy or difficult was it?
You know, I have no issues here with people who just tell you straight what they feel. You know, that doesn't really bother me at all, because I know that when he says things, at least in my context with him, because we're collaborating on a film, he was very adamant that I do the film. You know, he was very excited when I said yes. So whatever he did say, you know, I felt like it's coming from a place where he wants things to be better, you know, and he wants to just kind of keep the air clear, and if he has anything to say to me or anyone, you know, he always just tells the person straight. So I have no issues at all, and I feel the same way, you know, when I talk to him, I feel like I can say anything that I want to him. So it's a nice atrangi yari that's formed between the two of us.
Talking about atrangi, I mean, you're sharing the screen space with Amitabh Bachchan, now also the mic.
And the soundtrack, yes. That's
and
right.
The soundtrack.
Yeah.
I mean, in Dil Dhadakne Do, you sang with Priyanka.
That's right.
In this one, it's Amitabh Bachchan. And Rock On is going to be Shraddha.
That's right.
So you're making a habit out of it now.
It's not necessarily a habit. I mean, these are the films that it's possible to do it in. This song, I mean, it really was, again, this is like the brainchild in terms of Vidhu really wanted to do a song. There's 3 songs in the film which are, I mean, extremely good songs. 3 of them already out. Yes. You know, and all those 3 songs are really good. But he wanted one song that really kind of captures the mood of their friendship. You know, and that was the one song that wasn't there. Yeah. And while that song was being created, Rochak, who's this new music director, who's done an amazing song. You'll hear it very, very shortly. You know, so he was kind of adamant. He's like, why don't we have 2 singers? Why don't we just get them to sing it? Because it is a very strange friendship of sorts in the film. Yeah. You know, 2 completely unlikely candidates coming together to create a very strong bond. Yeah. So it just felt like the right thing to do, you know, that you're singing it from the character's point of view in the film.
But you know, you're looking very nice with his hair.
Oh,
I mean,
why thanks?
Every time you do that, there's something special happening. I mean, you know, but Lakshya, you had long hair when you were directing it, I believe.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Rock On, we love
Actually, there I grew my hair really out of survival. You know, it was getting colder. We were in Ladakh for 5 months and going into winter. So really the growing of the hair and growing of the beard really did help, because there was a natural insulation that started forming.
No more sunburn.
Yeah, that was really out of just wanting to stay alive is why we did that. And then of course for Bhag Milka I had grown my hair. Was when it was quite long, actually much longer than this. And now, this is for Rock On too.
When the film releases on 8th of January, we will know who Daanish Ali really is. But who is Daanish Ali, I mean, for our viewers right now?
Well, he is somebody who's from the world of the IPS. He's an ATS officer. He comes across as a very straightforward, you know, duty guy, loves his family, and has all these things kind of in place in his life. And pretty much at the beginning of the film, at the very onset, there's this an incident that occurs that really turns everything upside down, you know, for him. And he finds himself at really the kind of lowest emotional place, you know, that a human being can find themselves, like just absolute grief. And that's when he meets with Mr. Bachchan's character, and then this relationship forms, and how through each other, because I mean he has his own issues, how through each other they find redemption on some level, they find purpose, they find the need to belong again, and of course they also end up finding what this larger plot was, where this character Wazir, who's played a very important role in both their lives, how that all comes together at the same time.
You know, one of the press conferences, again, I'm going back to Vidhu, and he says that, you know, it was difficult to get across to Farhan Akhtar because you were just Daanish Ali at that point in time. So, did it was difficult for people around you outside the film to, you know, associate with you, or how does it?
I don't know. I don't really stop to think about it, to be honest. You know, when I'm on set, I mean, of course, it's different. When you go home, you can't constantly remain the same person. You know, that's not possible. You know, you go back and meet your kids, you can't be like, chalo, go to sleep. You know, I'm Daanish Ali. You don't do that, they'll probably grow up with scars or something. So, no, not really, but on set, yeah, I mean, you know, you want to try and stay in the zone as much as possible, and especially when you're doing scenes that are the intense scenes. You know, there were certain scenes where I'm hanging out with Aditi, and, you know, there's lighter scenes also in the film, and at that time, of course, you're having fun, you can engage with everybody. But he's a very intense guy, and he's an angry guy, you know, in the film, and it's very difficult to just kind of like switch on, switch off, and come across as genuine, you know, at the same time, or at least in my process of doing things. Which is why I tend to stay kind of isolated as much as possible in certain scenes. I feel that's important. So he probably must have come on one of those days, I guess.
But this year, I think if you talk about 2015, just one release, which was Dil Dhadakne Do, and a short but important cameo, if you can say
sure,
that.
Sure.
But in 2016, you have like these three films, or you have Wazir and you have Rock On, and then of course you're producing Raise.
That's right. So, and Baar Baar Dekho.
And Baar Baar Dekho. So what are your thoughts on that? I mean, how is it going to be important for you this year?
Well, I mean, there are some very important films. I mean, every film is important, but I mean, here we have a spate of films, you know, that are coming out, and this seems to be the case. I mean, where, you know, because you have projects in development, you have projects being shot, so there's a little bit of a cycle that happens where you have like maybe a lean year in terms of things coming out. But that's a part of the process of what, I guess, how Excel functions and how I function. You know, you don't want to overburden yourself also with too many commitments. It's kind of nice to stay focused on the stuff that's happening immediately, because you never know, you know, something exciting comes along and you're like, oh God, I'm not free till 2018. You know, you don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
You know, so I always feel that it's nice to plan not so long term in terms of selection of projects to be involved in, because when that one comes along, you know, you don't want to not do it because you don't have the time, you know, to do it. That would be a shame. And that's really how I see it. So it is, I mean, it's an important year. We have, I mean, apart from Wazir, of course, which is releasing now, there's Baar Baar Dekho, there's Raees, there's Rock On 2. We're going to start some other films as well. You know, so it's going to be a busy year.
But Rock On 2, do you think the sequel is a little, you know, it's taken a lot of time? Do you think that it should have been a little earlier, perhaps?
You know, I don't know. It has to happen when it's right. You know, I think that's more important than how far apart each other was. So I don't think that really matters. You know, I mean, I've been traveling around India, you know, with my band, you know, and we've been to so many like cities and colleges and towns, and everyone just knows that film, you know, and you're talking about people now who are like 14 and 15, you know, who were 7 and 6 when the film released, you know. So the fact that it's sustained and it's very much a part of their culture, you know, and their cultural influence, I feel it says that this film is still absolutely relevant.
You know, Raees is such an important film. I mean, everybody's been waiting for it. And it's been, what, 25, 26 years of Shah Rukh Khan in the industry, 50 years he completed this year. How do you think he has evolved as an actor? I mean, you've worked with him so closely.
You know, well, I mean, the thing is that he's somebody that everybody knows, and everybody has a cinematic moment of his that they kind of relate to. Everyone, I mean, some have multiple moments, I mean, but everyone has one, you know. So the fact is that he's, again, I mean, he's a cultural icon for many people, you know, and I'm sure that he's a great influence again for generations, the younger generations of actors and people who want to be in film, you know. So that's already, his legacy is already out there, you know. Now, I mean, how much larger can it get? I'm not somebody who can predict that, but the fact is that he's already very present in everyone's life. You know, I don't think there'll be any Indian who won't know who he is, or has not seen a film of his, or has not heard a song of his, or doesn't have a moment, of his. So I'm excited that we are collaborating again, on a film, and it's a part that I feel he's very, very suited for. So that always helps.
But if Raees and Sultan come together, I mean, everybody has been talking about it. There'll be a clash of these titans again. I mean, are you sort of not completely?
The thing is, I think right now what is important is to focus on completing the film. On making sure that everyone who's made the film is happy with the film. And then we'll come to phase 2. Right now, I think the important thing is let's make a good film. And then we'll see what happens up.
With your band, and you as you said that you've been traveling with the band so much, you're also taking a social initiative forward. You're taking mud forward. You're UN Women, ambassador for South Asia. I mean, do you think that the mindset of the men folk in this country is now changing, or since Nirbhaya happened, do you think there's a change?
Well, I mean, there definitely is a change in awareness that there is a serious problem, which is one, which always helps, because unless you don't realize that there is a disease, you can't cure it. So that is one thing. And the second thing is that I feel that the discourse now has moved from recognizing that there is an issue to solution seeking. I think like now everyone is involved in creating either programs, educational programs, literacy programs, focusing on men, because there's always been a tremendous focus on women, of empowering women, getting them jobs, getting them education, health, which of course should be there. I mean, I'm not saying that shouldn't happen, but that has to be there. But there's been very little focus on trying to educate men in this aspect, so I feel it's nice that now men have been included, as part of the solution seeking for this thing, because I mean, on a huge level, it is one half of humanity, that we have to be concerned about as just people. It's not about being men and women, it's just about being human beings. And somehow as human beings, you have to find a solution together. I don't think we should kind of segregate it down to saying that you're a man, so you should not be involved. So I feel that it's a good thing that's happening. I feel there's progress happening. Things take time. My belief really is that what we hope to see is going to be generational, so that we can now kind of instill these values, into kids of equality, of non-discrimination, of respect, stuff like that. And when they grow up, hopefully there'll be a different place.
Well, on that note, thank you so much, Farhan, for your words, and best of luck for your film. Wazir releases on January the 8th.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Oh, cheers.